Namaskar and welcome to this exciting episode of Sattology Debunking Mythology. Sattology means science of truth, or study of truth. Opposite of that is mythology, which is science or study of fake lie or imagination. Our entire focus on this series of Sattology videos is to bring out the facts which are mentioned in Ramayana, Mahabharata, and other places of the Vedic scriptures. But somehow, the Western academic institutions always brand the Indian history as mythology. But how, whenever we call their history as mythology or challenge their version of history, they get rattled that there is no science over there. In fact, we are the only ones who talk about science because we focus on exact measurements. And when we see the shlokas of Valmiki and Mahabharata, Vyasdev, we see that a lot of geographical coordinates, astronomical coordinates, and even archaeological coordinates being provided, where none of those exist in any of the Western ancient writings. None of them exist. In fact, they keep on debunking their own versions every few years. So I have a very special guest today, but we are talking about something else today. We are talking about the colonization of India and the current boycott phenomena which is going on. So let us welcome. I have a special guest today, Surya Sarathi Roy. Namaskar, Surya ji.
Namaskar.
So Surya ji, अभी तो पूरा in India, everywhere people talking about boycott in everything going on. But the reason for this goes on much deeper. Very few channels have spoken about it. Very few channels have spoken about it or noticed it. That this is the colonization of Hindus primarily, not for others, because Hindus were the natives of India and they were attacked through various religious purposes for proselytizing, converting, and even acquiring their lands for economical purposes. That's how the Islamic invasion happened. That's how the Christian invasion happened. Jagannath temple is not separated from that. It did happen over there too, in Odisha.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
so how do you see that today's boycott phenomena which is going on, completely led by the people, no politicians involved, no one involved, is the people of India boycotting. So, how do you see that from your perspective?
So, to put it in other words, let me slightly digress from colonialism to the word nepotism. Okay. And if we look at the series of events in Indian history, right starting from the Delhi Sultanate in 1206 CE, we see the Islamic invasions happening, the setting up the Delhi Sultanate, and all their administration was primarily occupied by their own people, be it from Iran, be it from Turkey, be it from Central Asia, or whosoever. And there started the policy of nepotism, where the plush posts, the favorable decisions, favorable posts, etc., were given to their own set of people. Well, that's one thing of it. Now, if we after Delhi Sultanate, if we look at the Mughal, it didn't change much, honestly. It didn't change much, and till the time of Akbar, when we see the Rajputs and Indian Muslims and some of the other Indian Hindu rulers coming into the foray, were forging alliance with Akbar, and then Akbar also giving them prominence by allowing them to giving them making them mansabdars, making them subedars, making giving some of many of them the title of Raja, and then making them the military commanders as well. Raja Mansingh was a classic example. So he realized that if you have to rule this land, you'll have to take the natives into consciousness. And towards that end, although he had his own, he was a very shrewd man. We all know that, and all these things, whatever he did, was not for his, not that he had a great love for the Hindus or he had a great love for this country, but it was for to stabilize his own administration and also to curtail the internal conflicts which were arising from various family members from time to time or from other royal families who were there in his court. So going from there, this process continues, and then comes the British. British, we all know, starting from the colonial education system to infiltrating into our social system, taking away the Jagirs, taking away the ruling kingdoms, starting from Rani Lakshmibai or any, there are so many of them, and then putting their own people in place. So I mean, typically, if we see, if I look at the Delhi Sultanate, if I look at the Mughals, or even and take, let's say, for example, Bengal, there were three regions which were primarily under their governors. So Bengal was one of them, and in all these ruling sections, when they were administering their rule, they had always their governors placed over there, and these governors were primarily Iranians or Turkic origin, and none of them were Indian Muslims. It came made much later, and this is a kind of colonial mindset and a colonial practice, and of course nepotism. The Britishers also, when they started doing, started taking over province by province, they also started putting in their own people. And the greatest reflection, of course, Bengal presidency being the first of it, was, of course, the creation of the Babu culture, or the glorified clerks in English education system. So when we look at that, that was again made to enable their own set of activities, own administration, and these people who were trained were thoroughly colonialized, thoroughly, and they had their names, and by birth and by origin they were Indians or people born in Bengal or Orissa, but primarily the Bengalis were there, and these people drove their entire administration. And then we see that same type of approach being percolating from administration to police or to the British East India forces. So all this colonial mindset, the nepotism which has flown in over a period of, let's say, 700, 750 years, 800 years, is actually had gone into the psyche of Indian people and into the administration per se. So in 1947, of course, when we got the independence, we still continue with, I don't know if you are aware or how many of our audiences is aware, the Indian Police Act is a classic example. The Indian Police Act is now almost 300 years old, and that needs to be changed. And majority of the clauses in the Indian Police Act is colonial, all of them, almost all of them. Similarly, there are other land laws, there are the agricultural laws, they're all 300 years old. So the colonial mindset still sits in the Indian psyche, in the Indian bondage. Until the time we change these laws, we come out of this mindset. That colonial stuff will keep driving to a large mass of people to for a greater amount of time. Now, what is happening today because of, as you mentioned, the boycott? With social media opening up, with and then one important factor that I must say, that post independence after 1947, by 1955 or 60, historians like RC Majumdar, Jadunath Sarkar, GS Sardesai, they were all sidelined, people who actually wrote the actual correct history of India without keeping any curtains. But when the Marxist historians took over for 50 years, a complete distortion of history happened. And then we started from the 80s, we started seeing Sitaram Goel, Ram Gopal Mishra, and other people coming into the fore and starting writing, of course, labeled as right-wing historians. But that's what the fact is. So now today, with the social media opening up, with historians like Vikram Sampath, Meenakshi Jain, and K.S. Lal, all so many of them coming up, and apart from that, Sanjeev Sanyal, of course, and all these people coming up with a foray of scholarships in history, coming up. We have a great authors coming out in the form of, Omendra Ratnu, Ami Ganatra, Manushi Sinha. Now, all these people are contributing to that cause, and their books are actually opening the, mind, the eyes and ears of people, that what they have been, deprived of. Even people senior to us are also reading those books and understanding where we actually come from. So these events, these events are creating its repercussions. These events are opening up the eyes and minds of people. and contributes to the general awareness rising, consciousness awakening, which actually is leading to this boycott. So today, when you read these books, when you hear to these speakers over YouTube or any other sessions, any any layman who loves his own country, he loves his own culture, who values his heritage, can easily make out what Bollywood has been doing. So today, let's say I will give my classic example. When I when 25 years back, when I first saw the film Diwar of Amitabh Bachchan, I always used to sing that, he's a Hindu, he's gone to the temple, he's abusing Shiva, but he's keeping a villa number 786 over here, and which he greatly reversed, which is fine. I have no problems in that. But why this contrast? Why this contrast? There were so many other films where I used to see and used to think about it, but never realized what was the true diktat behind that, or what was the efforts in brainwashing people. And it actually, kind of clicked for 35, 40 years. Because if you see till 1970s, or early 80s, till the beginning of 80s, we see a lot of devotional films in Bollywood, lot of nationalistic films in Bollywood. Uh, being Jagannath devotee, Haridarshan, 1974, is one of the biggest blockbusters. 1952, Anand Math was a big blockbuster. There were so many of them actually, you know but then these films started drying out from early 80s, and then we know what happened. So people's consciousness now having arisen, awakening has happened. These were bound to happen, and with social media coming in, things have opened up a lot. People can put up a very balanced view. Readers can arrive at a very balanced view by reading both the sides and by looking at the primary and secondary sources which are being quoted. And this has led to a tremendous impact in the general psyche of the mass, and people have actually started realizing what should be the way forward. And that is why, I personally feel boycott is coming up.
The you put up very good reasons over there why the boycott today. But one of the things which really, if you look at the quality of movies made in Hollywood and Bollywood, movies everywhere are fictional. Most of them is fictional. There's a problem within the US also on the content and the dialogues within the movies also, which is filled with
Absolutely,
wokeism.
absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely. That is why I said, Aditya ji, that people's consciousness is awakening. So when I say that, I will little bit elaborate on that. So they read the history books, they read the real history, they read the primary sources, they read the secondary sources which are now available everywhere. And when they look at the film, they see that how the propaganda was made and what are the true facts and how it is being represented once, twice, thrice, and then people start realizing. So obviously, this has to happen actually.
see, one of the in Hollywood generally, and the new movies which are coming up on Netflix and other places, where they make patriotism bad. That is a message they want to give. But in Bollywood, the attack is not on general value. Attack is on religion generally.
Right,
Like you
right,
said, it is on Hindus and very clearly on Hindus, which is
right.
their mindset, their speech, their dialogues are the same which British had, or the
Absolutely,
Islamic invaders had, or their
absolutely,
teachings are within the religious places also, similar to
right,
those mindset. Most
absolutely.
of the dialogue writers are also from that frame of mind. Like if you
Yes,
look at any of the Javed Akhtar or any other actors, any other writers are there. The dialogues and songs, if you look at the songs, their words which they use, the word kafir and a lot of Islamic words they use, which don't belong to India. Like as if looks like they want to make India used to those words, and use them. And it's so surprising. In a regular Hindi speaker also, they do not know how many Farsi or how many words they've used of Arabic origin. How many?
absolutely,
And
absolutely.
and this was euphemistically called Ganga Jamuna Tehzeeb. And the thing is, India is largely Hindi belt, and Marathi and other languages are there. Why not Marathi words? Why not Tamil words? Why not any other words? The the,
Absolutely.
the point which I really see why people are having problem, even I have a problem with those movies, because they go exactly against the history of real history of India, which are coming up with
Absolutely.
authors. Many authors are writing the real history of India.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So
Correct.
so do you think the India has changed or for the better, or Hindus have awakened, or do you think that it is just a temporary phase is going to die out shortly? Because
It,
yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. Go on, go on, go on. I'm sorry for the interruption.
And
Go on.
the thing is the arrogance of the Bollywood is simply astounding.
Yeah,
If it was
absolutely.
Hollywood or any other movie, because they're producing something to sell, and the audience is not willing to accept. So why will a seller push on his product if the buyer is not ready to buy it? So go ahead.
Absolutely. So I would say two things over here. One is, of course, this is here to stay. It is not a temporary stuff that's going to go away, not a new euphoria per se. The second one is Hindu awakening. I would rather put it in a rather more practical mindset, practical perspective. It's a nationalistic awakening. It's a feeling of patriotism and the quest for knowledge, quest for the right information that people are awakening to. So I will give you a classic example. Yesterday, I was there in the book launch of J. Sai Deepak, and I was fortunate to hear Madam Minakshi Jain, the historian, the renowned historian and Padma awardee. So what's of course whatever they said, all said and done. What surprised me, Aditya ji, is the number of students, who had actually thronged the venue. It was absolutely mind boggling. People were sitting on the floor in all the aisles, benches overflowing, chairs overflowing. People are standing in every nook and corner of the hall, and there was absolutely not a place to move. And all these were students, and there was so much of loud cheering whenever actual historical data was presented. This is a mass uprising which is happening. This is something which I never expected to see yesterday. And when I see people, children, teenagers, kids, in the age group of 18 to 25, thronging them, buying the books, reading them like paranoids, asking questions, hearing those historical facts and cheering up, that gives actually three understanding. One, the quest for knowledge, as I said, people, the youngsters wants to know what is truth, the hunger for truth, truth and only truth. That is what R.C. Majumdar used to say, that, or Jadunath Sarkar used to say, that I'm going to write the truth and only truth. Doesn't matter if it hurts anyone, doesn't matter if it maligns anyone, but the truth and only truth should be spoken. These are Jadunath Sarkar's words. The second is the connect to the national thought process. People are, or these young teenagers are much more way ahead in terms of nationalism than our era. They're much, much more ahead. I see today teenagers riding on bikes, putting the national flag on the 15th of August or on 14th of August. That kind of thing I never used to see 5 years back. So with each every year passing, this thing is increasing. Okay. And the third point is, what is most important uh, is the understanding of not only history, but the political destiny of this country. I'm not a political expert, so I can't comment. But these youngsters are trying to join the dots. What is being shown to them, what they have read till now, what is the actual truth which they are trying to find out. They are on a journey to find out the truth, and then finally take a conscious call. And the conscious call they are taking a very balanced approach. They are coming up fast, coming up at pace, and this is all happening for the right cause. So I don't think, This is an euphoria. This is here to stay, and it will only increase with every passing year and passing month. And I see my own son who speaks a lot of history on Jammu Kashmir. Even I was not aware. He has dug out all those things and he has started reading. So that's the psyche of the youngsters right now. So India is on the right path. It's not a Hindu awakening. I would say it's a nationalist awakening for the better reason for the country as a whole. Yeah, over to you, Aditi.
One of the things which really, the second part is the arrogance of the Bollywood, which we need to also understand. Like a seller is trying to tell the buyer that go
Yeah.
buy, and then they say please buy. It's like a mocking of 1.3 billion. I can tell you, assure you, if this was happened in Europe or in US, the people would do the same thing to these stars, same thing. But one thing I see in the West, one thing is there, that they listen to their audience and they make some things which are relevant to the audience. Like for example, in the middle, people were tired of the charisma culture. So the cartoon movies became very common. Now again, people are again acting now. You must have noticed a lot of cartoon movies that come out, Disney and other places. People are bored, and then again, that it purely works on the market dynamics, what people demand and what people they produce. In India, that is not the case. Same old stories of plagiarized copies, or copied the scripts of other countries and shown in India. Again, why a particular, if you look at Middle East, they look up to USA or the West for everything. Their whole ideological, like if you give a chance to a Middle Eastern to move, they'll come to US any day. They don't want to live in their own countries. Now, if you look at Europe, they don't want to go to US. They want to focus only on Europe. You ask any European generally, they'll say, we meet all of them. They come to US for holidays and they say, oh, we miss our countries. In India, the same thing. In Indians, generally, even though they live in the West for a long time, they always want to visit India. They want to stay there, have make connection. Europe and India has the same story. But in the case of these Middle East origin people, or people who are having the mindset of Arabic mindset, or they feel that they belong to Arab, but these people are completely enamored with the West, completely. For them, Switzerland is the best place. There are many places in India far better than Switzerland, and there are many places. So everything Western origin, everything Western. That is the mindset they have. Look at Pakistan. Pakistani generals, all of their children are studying in the US or Australia. All of them.
Absolutely.
Not
Absolutely.
even one. So what do you think? These people are still colonized, or what is in their mindset? Like Akshay Kumar is Canadian, and there are many other foreign actresses acting in Bollywood. So they have loaned their brains to focus on the West without having any storyline. Ordinary movies. People watch them not for the movies, but for the funny dances. That's what they call in the USA. Oh, Bollywood has funny dances. So
Yeah. Just give me a sec. Just give me a sec. Yeah. Sorry. So yes, of course, colonized. No less than that. No less than that. Starting from education, starting from upbringing, starting from the ethics, and starting from all the the values that are being showcased to them, that is being that percolates to them from a very early age, is colonized. बेटा आपको अमेरिका में जाना पड़ेगा, तब आपकी जिंदगी बनेगी. So if you look at people from Punjab, the classic example, they sell off their agricultural lands for going to Canada or US and take a truck driver's job or a taxi driver's job. And once they have it, that's the ultimate moksha for life. Similarly, as you rightly said, the Pakistani generals, they know what is there in the country and what is outside. So again, they are very clear, to send them. If you look at people from South, particularly Kerala, they all come to Middle East for their respective jobs, searching for jobs, starting from supervisors, foremen, plumbers, electricians, whatnot, and then they takes earn good amount of money and either come back or they settle there or transmit the money, all that. So without an iota of doubt, this is colonial. Now, the second factor of it, let's look at the education system. Okay, now if we look at our education system, this is something we all know that our history textbooks doesn't, the ncrt ones, the cbse ones, etc., they don't represent the truth, and this is far from being far-fetched. But look at the majoritarian upbringing which happens. How many people, how many parents pan india teach their students the ethos of nationalism? बेटा आपको यहीं रहना है, यहीं पे फोकस करना है और देश के लिए काम करना है. ये चीज, how many parents actually promulgate in their kids? Rarely, very, very less, maybe 15%, 20%, not more than that. But today, if you see the moment students, I am seeing a new pattern now. Students, moment they pass out from 10 plus 2, they are moving to australia, singapore, middle east, or to us or uk, per se, not middle east, us and uk. The objective, complete their higher education over there and then get a job and settle down over there. That is, I am not sure how many of them will actually come back ever. So this is not only the examples that you cited, but on our part as well, these are heavily colonized and colonial hangover is still to go away. And this is driven by many factors, as I said, but education being the biggest one of them. Yeah.
See, the entire acting industry, whether you go to LA or Bollywood, I'm from Mumbai, so I know how the culture is. And in Hollywood, also the same culture, LA, like bombastic talks, big talks, too much show,
Right.
focus on the IQ level is very low. And
Right.
if the good directors are not there, these actors will be nothing. And
Right.
India also, the good directors are there. But the art of storytelling, what is mentioned in Ramayana and Mahabharata, the storytelling, it's missing in India right now. It's not
Right.
original. Like there's a, if you look at Ramayana and Mahabharata, read carefully, the way the subject of Sri Ram is introduced in Ramayana is so beautifully done in Valmiki Ramayana, or the storytelling in Bhagavad Puran or any of the other Puran. Bhagavad Puran is the most sophisticated way of storytelling, according to me personally, because I've read all of the other ones. And it's very beautifully, subject is explained, object, the purpose, and
Yes.
attitudes. And then the story of what is the outcome, what is the lesson we can learn from that,
Correct.
in terms of
Correct.
Falashruti, what is
Correct.
exactly being coming there. Falashruti is also equally important. It's not about what benefit you're going to get, but what was the story trying to say. So that is how
Absolutely.
the Falashruti is. So that storytelling art, because we are too much, the Bollywood guys are too much focused on the West and focused on current issues, mostly the current issues. One thing I really like about the Indian film industry, I'm talking about the Southern film industry, is that they captured the essence of the Indian psyche today, what it is today, and they're producing movies based on what it is today. It is in line with what India is now. Or
Exactly.
they're,
And
they're
secondly, if you see, interestingly, if you see, many of their movies in the recent time, I mean, I'm saying commercial masala movies that Bollywood makes, is actually remake of the original Southwest movie, starting from Singham, starting from, I mean, there are so many of them. I mean, I don't recall the name, but couple of them, mostly Ajay Devgan is doing a remake and all that. So that clearly explains what the audience wants to see, and what they're actually trying to do and who is actually delivering, to be honest.
it's
And
a
that is
true
why you see, a film like bahubali doing wonders, shooting through the roof, and they are using the name of the city or the kingdom is mahishmati, which is of prime importance in our scriptures.
exactly south of Pampas Rover. So
Yes.
so the one of the things which really strikes me is, like, if you analyze the movie scripts, actually all the scripts of Hindi film industry based out of Bollywood, most of the scripts are based on creating a charisma kind of for a actor.
Hmm.
Indian, our Vedic Shastra is about heroes. Heroes means Shrestha. Shrestha means
Hmm.
in in thoughts, in behavior, and in inclinations.
Hmm.
And people can learn some good lessons out of it. Charisma is not the factor. Karma is the main factor. But
Right.
but if you look at these actors, first of all, actors were never given importance other than Manoranjan. Like if you look at the Mahabharata city, actors were given outside the city quarters, outside the city where they can come in the city to perform in certain places and go back where they used to live. So there used to be a community of singers, community of actors sponsored by the state to perform and do this. Now these people, they are defining the narrative. They are, you know, if you ask an actor about a certain political issue, people taking advice from them because people think what they show on
This
the
is this
screen
is
is real.
something. This is something. It really, puts me off, Aditya ji. No, ये लोग क्या समझते हैं अपने आप को मतलब they are opining on every damn thing, starting from politics, starting from education,
No, no,
starting
you
from
have to.
culture.
I'll interrupt you here.
Yeah,
It's not about them. It's about the people because the general, the state, generally the state or any kind of, they
absolutely,
they are the ones who
absolutely.
recognize big things. Like for example,
Yeah,
when
yeah,
you
yeah,
corrupt an award like Padma Shri or Padma Bhushan,
yeah.
then you're
Yeah.
actually removing the Shrestha from the society. So
Mm,
what these people, the citizens see is an image of what they would like to see in their hero.
mm,
Like for example, if you look at any hero is going all the way in Pakistan or any of the enemy states of India and doing his action, people love that because this is what they're
mm,
expecting. When the
mm,
state stops delivering what people are expecting, then they start seeing at least on the movie screens, and
mm,
and then they try to take. So the problem is systemic. People don't go such deep into the problem. The problem is that we are not creating Shrestha. It is a responsibility of the state to create Shrestha based on their karma and based on their actions, based on their behavior and the moral character. We are not
mm,
producing that. We are not encouraging that. We are not recognizing it.
mm,
After 2014, I am seeing that many of such people are getting recognized now. The president of the India is a person which is I really respect on based on her work, what she's done in the past. But that is happening now. So when that is missing, then you have these cheap fakes. I call them fakes. They're having fancy clothes and trying to show off who they are not, and they become more prominent. And that's exactly happening. And then when you become prominent, you automatically get money. And what do these people do with the money? Buy cars which are like if I tell an American that a person is driving a Lamborghini in Mumbai, it's a funny thing. You should be driving rickshaw over there. There is no traffic. There is no way to drive a Lamborghini there unless you go to the city to go to Pune or some other place.
yeah.
So what is your view on that? And we'll wrap up this show.
Yeah, I think nothing much to add. You have already covered majority of them, but yes, the two things. They, of course, thrive on the people's opinion and people's importance given to them, people's time that the people devote behind them. And when they see that they are being referred by everyone in the masses, government is running behind them to avoid them unnecessarily, which many of the state governments I see, I don't want to take names, which they are doing. They are being called everywhere. Just one small example from my home state. There are sports people, there are army officers who have actually contributed to the cause of the country. Those people are never ever called for inaugurating a Durga Puja. But the tele-serial actor or actresses are being called for, inauguration of these Durga Pujas. So that's one funny thing. This is a classic example of what you exactly mentioned. And the more the importance they get, the more commenting that they start making in every possible direction, which actually doesn't help anyone, and they feel that they are doing their words carry a lot of weight, but it's fake. Their statements, if you look some of their statements, they are far from the reality. And the good thing is, people over the last couple of years have kind of realized that what they are actually capable of. And I see a statement only 3 or 4 days back where Karina Kapoor mentioned that she ensured Indian Railways revenue goes up when she shot for Jab We Met the film. A actress like Karina Kapoor, who doesn't even feature in the world list of actresses, says that she contributed to Indian Railways revenue. I was laughing my heart out. I said that do they not even think before commenting what they are commenting? I mean, is Indian Railways waiting for Karina Kapoor to come and board a train and then the revenue is going to go up? I mean, this is this is height of anything, I would say.
No, the general IQ level is so low that
Yeah,
they,
yeah, yeah.
they
Fifth standard pass, fifth standard pass, 10th standard pass.
eh,
So what do you expect from people who are fifth standard pass? This is what you will expect. This is what happens.
and it's not just the education also, it's about the the kind of expectation they have, what the reverence they receive from India. Like I told you, it is the people who make them heroes or heroines,
Yeah,
but actually they're
yes.
not. They need to be called actors and actresses, not heroes.
Absolutely.
heroes are
Absolutely.
Heroes are people who are defending the border, the doctors who are
Absolutely.
saving people's lives,
Lives.
or people who are trying
The
to keep the. Hmm.
professors who are making the future generation ready,
And
or
the
even
new
a yoga
authors.
instructor, a
And the,
new authors, and even the yoga instructor, or the person who the coach of any sports person coach
yeah.
is actually contributing directly to the nation.
And the economic, see, Kali Yuga, money plays a major role, and
Hmm.
money we cannot avoid because Kali Yuga is all about the
Hmm.
show, and
Right.
hypocrisy is everywhere. So
Right.
money plays a very important role, and the kind of money that these people get out of the movies is disproportionate to what they contribute actually.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
the only thing is the face value, and we all know that if I put a lipstick on a pig, sometimes the pig will look very fashionable on a show. People will watch more. So the point is, lipstick or even a comb the hairs properly on a pig. Like people, we have a lot of hairdressing saloon for the animals too. So not just the lipstick, but other things also we can do in a masculine way. The point is, which I'm trying to say, is that we are creating heroes, which they should not be. They're just actors and actresses. They're not working on their own. They're projecting someone else. And we can go on and on that how the hero of the guy who saved the plane in USA, movies were made on him. Tom Hanks acted on it, and many other actors acted on it. So, and the people who saved, now these kind of things which create heroes, retelling the stories of someone people may not know. But fortunately, unfortunately, in Bollywood, we don't see that right now. They are working on ideologies and ideologues, and they personally, if you see those actors, like one of the actors, he is, you know, he believes in the same Bharat Ek Khoj story of Jawaharlal Nehru, which was a complete nonsense by today's standards. And by seeing what had done, his actual actions were vastly different than what he was is projected as. And
Absolutely.
and his wife is Kareena Kapoor, and I won't even take his name. But the
Hmm.
point is, and the son's name that he has put, Tamur, and other places, completely goes against the today's cultural fabric of India.
Absolutely.
And also the
Absolutely.
yeah. So thank you so much, Suryaji, and for coming on the show and sharing your thoughts on this sensitive issue, and which is really plaguing India today.
Yeah.
And let's hope we have a solution of it. And
Absolutely. Absolutely.
solution will be that new, like the thought leaders need to be promoted, startups need to be promoted, people who are adding
Yes.
value to the economy, soldiers, very important, and brahmanas, the teachers, have to be promoted
Right.
because those are the people who really add value to the ground, and they should be matched with financial resources. Normally, we
Yes.
do not value them. Like if you look at the ancient history of Mahabharata Ramayana, these were the people highly paid by the society. So the money level was maintained as long as much as the position.
Nepotism has to see nepotism should cease to exist, and as it used to happen in Mahabharata, like Shantanu was appointed by virtue of his work, not by virtue of his birth, or even the later emperors of the Kuru dynasty, which Shantanu appointed. I mean, after Shantanu, it broke down kind of. Then it became a lineage stuff. But that kind of ethos should start coming back, and that is when we should be getting things in the right place. And I see a lot of hope around that, because let's say today the classic example are the Padma Awards. The last 1 or 2 years, the Padma Awards are being given to such deserving people who have done enormous contributions to the society, to mankind, without expecting a single penny in some corner of India. And that's amazing. I lament today that this should have started at least 20 years back. Then India should have been in a different path altogether.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Surya ji, and thank you so much for
Thank
the
you.
viewers for watching. Do let me know your feedback and stay connected. Namaste.
Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.